I'm going to take you today on a short journey. Imagine after 9 months of pregnancy, you give birth to a beautiful, brown-eyed, long lashes, dark hair little boy. He's got 10 fingers, 10 toes, and a little nose. He's perfect. The months go by, and he's meeting his developmental milestones. He's rolling over, he's sitting up, he's reaching for toys, he's cruising. He's perfect. At 12 months, you start to notice things are different. You start to see some signs and symptoms that don't make sense. But you're not supposed to compare children. So I can't compare him to my older one and what his developmental levels were. So I don't. And I keep moving forward. At 15 months, I hear for the very first time a word I had never heard of before. Never knew anybody with it, never saw it, didn't even know what it meant. And for the first time at 15 months of age, I heard the word autism. Alex was officially diagnosed on July 2nd, 1991, with autism, mild to moderate. My world turned completely upside down. I had no idea where to turn. I had no idea what to do. So as a mother, you have two choices. You can stick your head in the sand and hope it goes away. Or you can move forward and make something happen. And for those of you who have known me for the last few days, I think you know which one I chose. So in our community, there were very little to no services for kids with autism. And believe me, I did the research. The only way to get services for your child was to dig deep into your pockets. Grab those credit cards. Second, mortgage your home. Try whatever you can to find that cash to pay for services. And we did. And after a few months, we saw progress in Alex. And after a year, we saw tremendous progress with Alex. And at that point, I kind of stood back and I thought, what is happening in this community? There's no equity. So I'm lucky that we could afford it at the time. But I started to meet moms and dads in the community with kids with autism who could not. There was no fairness in what was happening in our county. So in 1998, a group of families, including myself, and professionals in our community opened the very first charter school, Palm Beach Preschool for Autism in the state of Florida. Charter schools had just come into the state. And we started with 2 kids, 2 little babies, 3 years old. Within 1 year, we had close to 24 kids, which was the capacity in these GE modulars that we rented. And we had a long waiting list of 80 preschool kids. Fast forward to 2022. Today, we are the Palm Beach School for Autism. We serve kids from 3 years old up into 22 years of age. This fall, I'm going to be enrolling over 400 students. I have over 173 staff. And thanks to Building Hope, we have we just bought our building and our property, so thank you. We are all about academics, which includes reading, writing. If you know autism, though, there's more than academics that are involved. We have behaviorists, we have speech and language therapists, we have occupational therapists, we have physical therapists, we have it all. Everything's on campus available for our families, as you know, as a charter school, for no charge. We made it equitable in our community. But there's more. There's never enough that happens in our school. We always want more. And so what is that? So we started to look at our kids as they were getting older, and we realized, guess what? They're going to graduate, and then what? Where are they going? They're not going to college. Where are they going? They're going home and sitting and gaining 50 pounds a year. That's where they're going, and we will not let that happen, because then why did we do all this? Empowerment is everything to our kids. So what we started to look at was curriculum that was available on student empowerment. Little to none for our specific population, but we made it work. But it's not just learning it in the classroom, it's carrying it out in the community. It's carrying out on our campus, reinforcing it in the community, and training our parents on how to encourage empowerment. So empowerment to our kids means having a voice. Not letting autism define you. You define autism. What do you want? You need to have self-esteem, find your voice, self-advocacy to be successful, despite a disability that in the community may define you. And so Sam, who is now 19 years old, came to us at 6. And Sam's father just moved about 2 miles from our school. Sam pretty much lives with his dad year-round. Sam decided that he wanted to ride his bike to and from school. He looked around his neighborhood. Kids were driving. Kids were riding their bike. He wanted to do it too. The fear in his dad's eyes the next morning when he came to tell us was something I'll never forget. Terrified. We said we want him to try. We'll support it. So we found a gently used bike for Sam. And for 2 weeks, my staff met him at 7:30 in the morning, followed him to school, and followed him home every single day for about 6 days. Then on the 7th day, we started to fade back that support. By the end of 2 weeks, Sam could go back and forth to school on his own. Now, it was a daunting task. Why? Not because of his autism, because Sam was also significantly hearing impaired. And we were really concerned about him not being able to hear environmental noises to keep him safe. The following Monday, after the 2 weeks, Sam came into my office. I've known him for a very long time. And he said to me, "Miss Ann?" And I said, "Yes, Sam, so proud of you." He said, "You know what? I'm a man now." I said, "You are, Sam. I'm so proud of you." 10 kids in our Project Next program, which is a brand new program that we started about 4 or 5 years ago. And we started it for job training and job placement. That's critical for our kids. 10 kids were starting in a brand new agreement that we made with a local country club, a brand new work site. They were excited. We were excited. Now, the country club was a little nervous. They knew us from fundraisers that we've had there year after year after year, but they never worked with our kids. They were apprehensive. It took some convincing, but then they were into it. Our kids started. After 6 weeks of working at the country club, our kids came to their teacher and said, "We're not happy. We don't want to go back on Monday." Now, it wasn't because they weren't welcomed. They were welcomed in the country club. But it was because they didn't like the jobs they were doing, that they were assigned to. They were bored. They felt like they had more. They were empowered to share how they were feeling, for their voices to be heard, for their voices to be respected. So the Project Next director came to me and told me the story, and we immediately called the executive director of the country club, and we told her what the students had shared. And she said, "We'll make it happen." Great. The kids walked in on Monday, and they started their jobs. No more were they emptying the trash every day. They were now in human resources doing data entry. No more were they filling the ice machine with ice. They were now in the golf pro shop, the tennis pro shop, the marketing department doing graphic design. Our kids showed the country club, who were apprehensive and scared in the beginning and unsure of what our kids could and couldn't do, that they can do. And they voiced it, and they heard them, we heard them, and we made it happen. Pretty remarkable stuff. Sam, by the way, got hired recently by the country club. Sam, yes. Kyle has been working at one of our hotel sites for 2 years full-time. It's all about having that voice, feeling that self-esteem, understanding, once again, your autism does not define who you are. You define who you are. And that's what student empowerment is all about. Katie, and I'll leave you with this story. I have known Katie for about 5 or 6 years. She graduated this past spring, and she'll be going into our Project Next program. Katie stood up and did her valedictorian speech, and I didn't know what her topic was, and her topic was student empowerment. Katie stood up there and she said that she had learned from our school so many things she wanted to share with all the families and our board of directors who were sitting in the audience. She shared that she came from a typical school where she was fully included with typical kids and felt alone and isolated and unheard. She came to our school and she all of a sudden made friends. She felt confident. Rather than walking down the hallway with her head down and looking at the ground, she felt like she could hold her head held high. She talked about how she worked at the hair salon during our high school work site programs and how she said to them, I don't want to empty trash. I want to support you as the hairdresser. And the hairdresser said, absolutely, stand right here. Let's make it work. Our kids having a voice will make a difference for so many that follow. They're breaking barriers. They're overcoming obstacles. They're showing the world that having a disability does not define you, that who you are, once again, makes all the difference. Student empowerment is what it's all about. Imagine a world where diversity, equity, and inclusion happen without question. I'm Eisenberg. I'm the executive director of the Palm Beach School for Autism. Thank you.